What is up, guys? Fatal82 coming back like a wraith from the motherfucking dead for one video to talk about some of the drama that's going on Reddit right now and to offer you guys some of my feedback on having been a Rust player for the past few months, not having to worry about creating content, but being a pure boots on the ground Rust player. So you might be wondering what that flowchart is in the beginning of the video. And that's something that Gary recently put together and threw up on Reddit, and it opened up a lot of good dialogue. So Gary, I thank you for that. Basically, it says you are here right now if you are complaining about Rust on Reddit, and he talks about the cyclical nature of Reddit, how people will oftentimes champion something when it first comes out and then a few weeks or months later bitch about it. I would qualify that flowchart just by saying instead of complaining, I would say offering feedback. And I don't think it should be surprising that people have differing opinions a few weeks down the road or months down the road, especially with a huge system change like the component system or the XP. So I'm not sure why that's really surprising or disturbing to the developers. I think that's just sort of a natural progression of how things go with the development of anything, whether it be a game or anything that you're going to change as frequently as Rust has changed. But getting sort of to the point of this video, there also was an aspect where Gary kind of said, you guys are just sick of Rust because you have thousands of hours in the game, move on, it's okay, you had your money's worth. Didn't you get your money's worth? And yeah, we definitely got our money's worth. Like I've said before, Rust is the best $20 ever spent. I've gone home many times from a strip club with an epic case of blue balls, having spent 20 bucks on a lap dance, and Rust has paid for itself many times over. So I can't deny that, but it's not really that simple. Rust right now is not as much fun, and there's a couple things that are contributing to that. One is that the component system for the current version of Rust is probably not the best fit because of those short wipe cycles. In the long-term version of Rust, the long-term plan with no wipes or very infrequent wipes, the component system probably is going to be great. It's probably going to work out as you fine-tune it and iterate upon it. It's probably going to be great. But right now, it's absolutely painful for Rust players because nothing carries over from wipe to wipe. And I know that the intention isn't to necessarily have things carry over, but with the XP system and the BP system, we saw some dividends carry over from wipe to wipe, so it felt much less painful, and we kind of had an easier time acclimating to those short wipe cycles. With the components, it makes those 1 weeks feel much more grind heavy, those 1 to 2 week wipe cycles, and boring. Also with those wipe cycles, kind of something that would spice it up would be to allow people to raid a little more freely. And that's something that's been a problem with Rust for a while now, that the building has vastly outpaced the raiding. Now, when the ladders were in the game that ignored building privilege, it really ratcheted up the raiding. When the C4 and rockets did splash damage, that was something that also kept the raiding fresh. And when those changes were taken back, I think we were receptive to those at first, but now we're waiting to see what's going to be put in to make raiding fun again, or to make raiding even viable again. Right now, Rust is very stale. It feels that way, and it's not because we have thousands of hours in the game. It's because there's systems that are in place that are set up for a game that's going to be a long-term vision of something that right now is a very short-term experience. So I think that's why people have this feedback that can come across as maybe salty or perceived as negative, but I don't think that's the case. When they say that the BP system felt the best in retrospect, it's a true sentiment for, I think, the most Rust players, for the majority of Rust players out there, myself included, because in retrospect, that's the case. And we're allowed to change our minds and to say things like that, just as you're allowed to change the game and make changes to it. The BP system felt, I guess, the best fit for Rust, and I would say not the best fit for Rust, but the best fit for the 1 week wipe cycles. The XP system was what it was, but it still did have a place in those short wipe cycles, and the component system just feels painful as fuck when you're playing for 1 week and you can't really establish yourself to raid and nothing is carrying over. So I don't know, what else to say about it, and I'm not sure that this video will be very helpful, but I just wanted to offer you guys my feedback. I am definitely enjoying Rust less. It's not because I have thousands of hours in the game. It's simply because the game is a less enjoyable experience right now. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop playing Rust. I fucking love Rust, and I'm going to keep supporting this game. It's given more back to me in more ways than one than I can even express. And I love Rust, and I want it to be the best possible version of the game. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be a blind Facepunch fanboy and say that everything's great and, you know, the component system is perfect. It's not perfect. It has a lot going for it, but it has a lot going against it as well. And I would just caution Facepunch from really dismissing those hardcore Rust players, because if you lose that player base, I assure you, you know, the game's going to die out. You don't want to lose your players who have thousands of hours in the game, or just dismiss them by saying that, you know, they've had their money's worth and move on. Gary, it's not that simple. I think you know that when you really think about it. So I don't know, guys. You know, I'm going to leave it at that. Offer your feedback on Reddit. Continue to do that. Comment on the video if you'd like. I will keep playing Rust. As always, guys, hope to see you in the game. Peace.